Editing bird photos is honestly one of my favorite parts of wildlife photography, but it's also really easy to overdo things without realizing it. When I first started editing in Lightroom, I used to crank up every slider because I thought more color and more sharpness automatically meant a better photo. But over time, I realized the best wildlife edits are usually the subtle ones. So in this video, I'm going to show you 5 simple Lightroom editing tips that instantly made my bird photos look cleaner, more natural, and way more professional. These are all things I personally use in almost every edit now, and they're all super easy to apply. So let's get started. Alright, first step. Use the vibrance slider more than the saturation slider. This honestly made such a huge difference in my edits. A lot of beginners immediately increase saturation because they want stronger colors. But the problem is saturation boosts literally every color in the image equally. So your greens become too green, your blues become super intense, and sometimes the bird itself starts looking fake. Vibrance only boosts the color that are not as saturated. Just so you can understand, I boosted both saturation and vibrance to the max. The first one is saturation and the second one is vibrance. Tip number 2. To draw attention towards the subject, make a linear gradient at the bottom of the image and decrease the exposure. This guides the viewer's eyes towards the subject. Then you can create a radial gradient, invert it, and decrease the exposure. The problem with the Lightroom vignette tool is that you cannot move it. I made a whole video on vignetting. I'm gonna put the link in the description. Check it out after watching this one. Tip number 3. Don't apply texture and clarity to the whole image. People increase clarity and texture globally because they want more detail in the bird. But the problem is Lightroom also adds that texture to the background. So suddenly, your smooth blurry background starts looking rough and noisy. Instead, apply these adjustments only to the subject. Go into masking, select the bird, and then add texture or clarity there. This keeps the bird detail while the background stays soft and clean. And the separation is super important in wildlife photography because it helps the subject stand out naturally. In this one, I applied texture and clarity globally, and in this one, I applied it only to the subject. Tip number 4. Alright, this one is kind of a hidden Lightroom trick. Lightroom doesn't actually have a dedicated mid-tones exposure slider like some other editing softwares. But there's a workaround I use all the time. Go to the color grading panel, click on the midtones wheel, and then adjust the luminance slider there. This basically lets you brighten or darken the midtones separately from the highlights and shadows. And this is super useful in bird photography because sometimes your bird looks too dark, but increasing overall exposure ruins the sky or bright feathers. And finally, tip number 5. Don't over sharpen your bird photos. This is probably the easiest way to ruin a good image. At first, over sharpened photos can actually look impressive because everything looks super detailed. But after a while, you start noticing ugly edges, extra noise, and weird looking feathers. So instead of pushing sharpening really high, try using the masking slider in the detail panel. Hold Alt or Option while dragging the masking slider and Lightroom will show you exactly what's being sharpened. White areas get sharpened, black areas don't. This is really useful because smooth backgrounds don't need sharpening at all. And that's pretty much it for today. If you found this helpful, consider leaving a like and subscribe to the channel.